Hi, it's Lily Amanda here. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through the differences between Photoshop and Affinity Photo. This is to help you to transition to Affinity Photo easier because I have found like these two software, they're very similar, but they do have their differences. And this video is targeted to people who are familiar with Photoshop and want to navigate their way in Affinity Photo easier. The tools are the same, but they are in different places and they are with different name. So in this video, I'm going to quickly walk you through all these tools. So it saves you time. I want this video to save you time to look up all the information like I did when I first started to use Affinity Photo, because that really took a lot of my time. And I'm not going to lie, this is not easy transition, but once you practice it and use it more often, you will find it easier. It's always like that. You have to spend time to get familiar with your new software, new app, new tool, and then they can become part of you. Okay, just like what we did in Photoshop. First is bad news. The action in the action in Photoshop cannot be imported. You have to do it manually. This is so far the information I found. If you have found any other information that you can import action, then please do let me know, because that would save me tons of time. I have done my research. So far it is impossible to do it because they are just different files. So I do it manually. So first I want to help you to know how to record action. Action in Affinity Photo is called macro. So it's over here. It's important you go to Windows and you open two panels. One is macro and one is library. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to record a macro. But I just want to record a simple action. For example, I'm going to here. You can see this all the adjustment layer, almost the same, not exactly the same like Photoshop, but like this particular one, HSL. This one is like the saturation in Photoshop. Okay, this is the slider. You see that? And you can change the color shifters here. Okay, I'm gonna delete this one. And also like here you can see, let me just move it down here. Okay, here you can see the eye icon to hide and to, okay, let me just draw something. Okay, for example, I'm going to use a brush tool. I'm going to just draw something on this new layer. Okay, so this is the hide and show icon. In Photoshop it's the eye icon, but here is the dot. Okay, in different position as well. And yeah, in Affinity Photo is at the back here. So that takes a bit of time to get used to it, even just a small thing. Okay, I'm going to delete it. So the adjustment layer is this one, the black and white circle here. Okay, adjustment layer. So I want to add levels. You come to this panel. Okay, let me show you. It's very similar. This one is the mid-tone, to change the mid-tone. Okay, and this is the black level. You can see the black changes. Okay, the white level to the whitest and make it even brighter. This you can play with. It's very similar, but I do find levels in Affinity Photo is much easier to use and much more useful. Let me just delete it. Okay, let me just add another one. Levels. I'm not going to do anything. And this, I want to just use soft light just to add contrast. And that's the action I want to do. So what I'm going to do here is I just hit this start record, and then I just go to add levels and close it, and I'm going to use soft light, and that's what I want to do, and I stop it, stop recording. So these are the steps, and I'm going to save this to the library. Okay, let's say soft light contrast. Okay, so you'll find soft light contrast here. Okay, so once I click it, you'll find there's another one popping up here. I'm going to delete it now, and you will see macro. The steps are here, right? If you don't save it to the library, when you close Affinity Photo, it would disappear as well. That's the mistake I made because I didn't save them to library. I didn't know they'll disappear. In Photoshop is once you have done your actions steps, they will just save automatically for you. But in Affinity Photo, you have to save it to the library and give it a name. At the beginning, I was think like, oh, this is just extra step, but it is not necessarily, because once you get used to how to use it in Affinity Photo, it's just the same. Okay, but you just remember to save it. And so once you save it to the library, you just hit reset. So the steps are gone. Okay, so you can record another one. If you notice when I put levels down, then for example, I just do some adjustment here and I close it. There is no mask on. There's no layer mask. You have to do it manually. So here's layer mask. Okay, and it will be automatically be white. And if you do the same thing, Command I or Control I on the PC, it will revert to the black mask, and you can paint just the same. Brush is the same, keyboard shortcut, brush, and then you can see I have brush on. But when I scroll over here, you don't see the circle, right? Normally in Photoshop, when I choose the brush or choose the clone stamp tool in Photoshop, clone brush tool in Affinity Photo, it will appear a circle, right? I will know the size of the brush just by looking at the circle. But here, there's nothing until I click on it. I don't know if it's a bug or something, but that's just how it works in Affinity Photo. I do find this annoying because I have to click on it and you will see my history. I already have the paintbrush tool on already. I have to go undo the step I trying to show the brush tool. So it's Command Z. So then back again, I have to see. I will have to click on it to able to use it. And now I'm in black color. So that's why there's nothing changed. But if I switch X, I press X, keyboard shortcut, set as white, then my brush tool will be white. You can see, then I can start to paint. But here's the thing, like the hardness is 79, like here, flow, opacity, this is the width, this is the size, okay? But that just annoyed me a little bit. Like I click here and I have to undo it. So I will see my brush size actually on the picture. So that's the action and brush tool. Yeah, the keyboard shortcut, I've mentioned it in a previous video. So I will leave the link in the description if you want to know how to change keyboard shortcut. And the very important one about the Gaussian blur live. That is something you can check it out. It's a default keyboard shortcut that I removed, and if you watch that video you know what's going on. So I'm gonna delete this one and come back. So I'm going to use the selection tool, and here there is a freehand selection tool. It's like the lasso tool in Photoshop. For example, if I want to select this face, this one I have done it in the previous video as well, but I'm just going to reinforce here. It's a quite important feature. So I just circle here, right? And what if I want to add more, add the mouse in? I will have to press down Control. And I don't know about PC. If you know what's in PC, let me know. Because usually in Mac computer, we use Command. But here we need to use Control. So I hold on Control key and I draw again. Then you will add to the selection area. Okay, and you can select feather, and also the mode differences. These are all the same. And if I want to remove the selection with the mouse, I hold on to Alt key. Okay, and I just circle here, and it is deselected. Okay, that's just the lasso tool in Photoshop and freehand selection tool in Affinity Photo. Okay, patch tool. And let me just deselect it. Deselect is like it's exactly the same. Command D. Let's find out where's patch tool. Patch tool is over here with the healing brush tool here. So I'm going to select patch tool. Patch tool works a little bit different than in Photoshop. For example, if I want to patch this area, watch what I do. You see, there's nothing showing yet until I click on it. Then I have this, you can see this selection. And once I move my mouse, you can see it start to select different area. So where do you want to patch? you move your mouse over. So I click here and you can see this been selected. Okay, I just click anywhere else and it's done. And then do it again. I'm just gonna select this area. Okay, it come out with a circle. This one you just have to practice, that's all. So I'm going to move it, for example, over here. You can see this start to come out with different thing when my mouse move it to different area. So I'm gonna move it to here and click again, and that's it done. Okay, that's how you use patch tool. It's not like a lot different than Photoshop, but definitely it's the difference that you actually come out with a circle. You see that? I'm just moving out the circle instead of you have to draw the circle yourself. Okay, I'm deselecting it. So that just patch tool. I'm going through the tools I'm using the most often when I do portrait retouching. A clone brush tool, they call that clone. I can just call it clone tool. It's the same thing. It was over here, clone brush tool. Okay, it's the same thing. Okay, got the circle coming up straight away. It doesn't always happen though. And another thing, now I want to change the brush tool. I press B, right? Come back to the brush tool. And then if I press B again, it come back to the tool I selected previously. Okay, so that is another thing I found very different than Photoshop. If I just click on B all the time, it will stay on brush tool. But here is different. I just do it again. If I press B, brush tool, and then I press B again, it go back to the tool I selected before. So that just bear in mind, like when you switch, you actually have to look at what you've done, but it can be speed up your process as well. Like if you get used to it, you know, just press the same key, go back to the previous tool. Okay, undo limit. This I have talked about in the previous video as well, that in settings, the default setup with the undo limit, there are not many. There wasn't enough for me. So I actually built it up to 3,500 in the settings that you can watch the previous video. Filter, Gaussian blur. I want to have my Gaussian blur about, let's say 3.8 pixel. And I want to record this because I use it a lot. Then I will show you how you can do it. The action actually will pop up a window to ask you how much pixel you want. Let me just do record here and then go to filter, Gaussian blur. And then I change it to, okay, let's say 3.5 and apply. And that's the Gaussian blur. And then if I click on this, edit, if I enable this eye icon, and then it will pop up a window to ask me what's the radius I want. And you can name anything, radius or pixels as you like. So I'm going to click OK. And that's recorded, okay? And I'm going to save this. Have a good habit, always save it to the library, okay? And I'm gonna stop it. You have to stop it before you save it to a library. And I'm just going to say blur test, okay? This one just for test for you. And so that's the blur test here. I'm going to go back to history and undo this. And then I'm going to go back to library to click on this. And so it asks me, see, it pops up. It asks me how much radius I want, and that's the radius I recorded. So if that's a pixel you use it very often, then you can set it here by enable eye icon, then the window will pop up. If you don't have the eye icon enable, it will not show you. It will just apply 3.5, whatever you choose, whatever the radius you already set, okay? I'm going to use curve adjustment layer. It's here, curves. So open it up. So I want to adjust, for example, the highlight here. I would click on picker and then I can drag it up and down here, just this color, okay? And maybe just over here, and I can pick another area, for example, the dark area here. And then you can see I can adjust the color here. Okay, you can show different dots. That means a different, I pick different area of the color. Let me just pick again the maybe in the background at the brightest point, so you can see that point is much higher Okay, so that's just the same. There was a hand icon in Photoshop, and this one just copy comes. That's how you do it in Affinity Photo. Let's talk about crop tool. So this is the crop tool over here. And then if you can choose the darker mode or reveal or not. So you can do like if I crop it here and then I do the crop tool again, you can choose to reveal or not. Okay, you can see the button I cropped off, the difference, and darken or not. But I usually have these two on. It would be the same as I use in Photoshop. So just to get familiar with the environment. And the crop tool, you actually, here you have unconstrained, just like you can just crop any way you want. There's no restriction. But once you go to, this is the original ratio, and you can also click on this gear icon. You can select different ratio, and also you can customize your own ratio as well. Here is, you can manage presets. Like for example, you can move them around, whatever you like. You move them here or move them back. Okay, and then you can give different name. You can create category as well. So this is very organized. For example, if I create a new, let's say 1,000, 5,000. Okay, so that is that is the ratio I chose just randomly. Really, I'm just doing demonstration, not something I'm really doing seriously. Okay, so I'm going to just crop here, and also I want to tell the crop tool, I want to save this as a preset. Resample, you go to resample here, and then you can also choose your DPI here, and I'm going to this icon, this gear icon, and here I'm going to create preset. So this one I can name a different preset and go to whatever category you want. This is a category, okay? Common ratios or photographic paper. You can choose any of them or create your own, okay? Just that. I think this is very organized. I really like this way of using crop tool, because I do use different type of ratio. And so I'm going to cancel it. But the thing is, you will have to go to resample here to able to create it. So this is about extend the background. And usually in Photoshop, what I did was I go to fill and then choose content aware fill. And here I'm going to, for example, I want to extend this background, be bigger. And then I select the rectangular marquee tool. I'm going to select here. I'm going to edit fill. You can see there are options here. Custom color, you can choose any color you want. Primary color, you can also go and choose. And secondary color, and actually in painting is the one I'm looking for to extend my background. Okay, we can use history as well, but in painting is the one I use the most. And you can also choose blending mode if that is something you want to play with. Like for example, soft light, hard light. I'm going to normal mode and just apply. That's just how you extend the background in Affinity Photo. Another thing I want to talk about is the batch. You can batch export files, and let me show you here. New batch job. Then you can actually go and add all the files you need. You want to batch, and then here's the output, what sort of file you want, and then here is the location. You can set and you save as JPEG, and then you can also run the macros with batch here. You have like a lot of photo, you need to turn it to black and white. You can just record one macro and use here to batch all these photos, to batch all the photos. That's super convenient. Okay, so this is the batch area that I really like. It really speed up process. I just want to walk you through the tools we use the most often when doing portrait retouching, just to help you to speed up, get familiar with Affinity Photo. And I hope you find this video helpful. And Affinity Photo, now they're still giving 6 months of trial. So if you haven't downloaded yet, I highly recommend you and want to encourage you to download Affinity Photo to try it out, to see what is it like. It's a great software, and I found everything I wanted to do in Photoshop, I can also achieve it in Affinity Photo. So I highly recommend you check this out. So this is Lydia Amanda. If you find this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And I will talk to you in the next video.